Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 3 of The Takedown. My name is Mike Lark, and as always, joined by Mr. Roy Costin. Roy, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good, man. Got me a RC cola like we talked about last week. So
Oh,
doing
now,
all right. Doing all right.
here's my thing. I got a Coca-Cola with me right now. If I had known this, I would have got mine Cheerwine too, but either way, it's okay. It's a nice cold beverage that we're enjoying. And like we said last week, anybody who's never had RC Cola, bring some of that RC Cola into your life, and you will thank us later.
Absolutely, absolutely. Whew, some good wrestling this week, man.
It absolutely was. And I will say this when it comes to professional wrestling, we'll start with the Clash in Italy / Raw because before we got on air, we're like, dude, this blends together. And we're like, let's go for it. So, Clash in Italy, and Roy, I said this to you, and I've said this amongst our peers. One of the things that really kind of took out about from me was it was a solid night of action. The wrestling was not bad, but it just felt like WrestleMania Part 2 Electric Boogaloo. It felt like a glorified house show. And it was great for these Italy fans to get this PLE because they've gotten Raws before, but never a PLE. I thought that was great for the Italian fans. But I got to say, the show was kind of solid, but it's like it didn't feel like the luster like we normally get, you know?
Yeah, it felt like a really good, like if you could give it a grade, it felt like a really good solid B.
Yep.
It was a good B show. Um I think I mentioned it last week or it might have been off camera. If you're on television as a wrestler, you're a good wrestler. You're going to put on good matches. There's a reason why you're on TV. If you're wrestling for AEW, if you're wrestling for WWE, you are a good wrestler. It's just how good is your character work? And I think that's one of the things that we saw with Clash in Italy is the matches were really good. And I expected nothing less of it. If we can go ahead and kind of start into one, I think a lot of people were shocked at how good Rhea versus Jade ended up being. Their chemistry is phenomenal.
I think with what we got at WrestleMania, especially with even Jade doing that one winged angel to Rhea Ripley, which was fantastic, we got a Blue Thunder bomb here. We saw a lot of solid action between the two. I think the two work very well together. I think Rhea, being the experienced vet that she is, really helps and progresses Jade and lifts her up. I think adding BFAB and Meechin to her group as well, like the Baddies 2.0, helps because Mia Yim, also another veteran to help teach Jade. Same with BFAB, can learn off both of them because BFAB has really been showcasing and shining in her own right with the promo work. I think having the right collective around them really helps. And then you also kind of bring into the story what we've been teasing for years with Charlotte and Jade, but now they have a reason because they took out Alexa. So I thought everything that worked well to that advantage really heightened the match and the right person on the Rhea retaining.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, we can kind of pivot a little bit now from Rhea, going after pretty much anybody. We've got that good Charlotte and Jade story picked up, and there's not even a title attached to it now. So there's a couple different directions they can go, and there's a very interesting name, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later with the Queen of the Ring bracket that I could possibly see Rhea going against, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
I mean, we did see signs on SmackDown of Blake Monroe's promo going after Rhea. I'd love to see that. That has a nice little exchange to it. I think JC Jane would be sweet. There's so many people with different women that they can do with it. And for you all, just as a sidebar here with Tiffany Stratton, what does that mean for Tiffany Stratton now? I mean, they're doing Julie and Kiana James splitting. You got Chelsea Green like trying to be her best friend now since they had to do a 180 because of the release of Alba Fire. Like, what does that leave for the Women's United States title now?
Well, and it's not just the U.S. Women's title. There is a chance we could see Stratton and Green start to do a tag team. They are talking about not just with the men's, but with the women's division, focusing more on the tag division. So maybe we do get Tiffany Stratton and Chelsea Green as a tag team to go after the titles. maybe at some point we have a clash between them two, and they have to face each other for a chance at the US title. And I mean, if that's the case, Chelsea is what, a two-time US women's champ.
2 time.
So it would make sense to put her there. It's just, I think there is a lot going on, and they're trying to figure out what pieces they want to place in what direction.
I got to tell you, Roy, as soon as you said that about the tag teams, it reminds me of the Strange Bedfellows, one of my favorite storylines from 2007 with tag teams. And mind you, he was injured at the time, but my favorite was obviously Matt Hardy and MVP, where they were doing anything you could do, I can do better. That led to MVP turning on Matt and then Matt getting his revenge and beating him for the U.S. title. I think you could definitely have some fun with those two as a team, very similar styles and personalities, and you just amplify that to the fullest. I mean, speaking of amplifying to the fullest, let's stick on the ladies here, Roy, because you mentioned Rhea beating Jade. I was so happy to see Sol Ruca beat Becky Lynch for that women's intercontinental title. And I'm going to tell you right now, if we don't get Becky Lynch versus Jessica Carr at some time, I'm going to be upset because people don't realize how good of a wrestler Jessica Carr is.
Yeah, I think what they're going to do is they're going to end up leading that into maybe SummerSlam. Um, I think there's going to be the build, and then you're finally going to have Jessica Carr kind of snap a little bit and maybe punch Becky or something. And then, Becky goes to Pierce and she's like, she's a referee. She's not supposed to be hitting me and blah, blah, blah. And then he sets up the match. Um, I My biggest thing is I don't want it to overshadow Soul's win and Soul's title reign. I want it to have equal impact, if that makes sense, because sometimes when we get a new champion, the previous champion will move on to a storyline that overshadows the new title reign, and I don't want that to happen to Soul, especially because she's brand new champion on the main roster. So I think having her in that there was the backstage segment on Raw with Lyra. I think that could end up being pretty good because then you've got the Bailey of it all. So you could have Soul versus Lyra, you could have Soul versus Bailey, you could have a really solid triple threat match with those three. I just don't want the Becky Lynch and Jessica Carr story to kind of overshadow this new title win.
It's kind of like in TNA in 2008, and I know this will be a random one for everybody. Remember when Daivari was there, Sheik Abdul Bashir wins the X Division title, and he's feuding with Glamour Boy Shane, a.k.a. Shane Sewell. He's the referee, but we're not telling everybody how good of a wrestler he was because of his stuff that he did in Puerto Rico. Like, it gives me like that throwback vibes. And I mean, Jessica Carr and Becky could have a nice little story, but with Sol Ruca, you have her cut this promo. You mentioned the Lyra interaction, Sol and Bailey. Take that back from what we did at Saturday night's main event. There's so many different directions that they can go. And also on the other side of the women that you mentioned with Raw, what are your thoughts on Maxine Dupree? It looks like we're going the heel route. She's going to be leaving the overall Alpha Academy, maybe going to the Vision. Do you like this new turn for Maxine Dupree?
I do. And I'm wondering if this could be sort of a backdoor way of getting Chad Gable into the Vision. Because, he was her original mentor. They had the split. She did her thing with Otis and Tozawa. And then maybe with her, you see all the her and Austin Theory in the background shots and stuff like that. And that might be the big, oh man, Maxine just joined. Everybody saw it coming, but she came with someone, and it just happens to be like Chad Gable. I hear he's coming off of injury, so maybe he has a return coming in, Uh, but no, I could definitely see that happening, and I think it'll be a good change of pace for Maxine. She's very, very new in her wrestling career, and she's already shown a lot of promise with how fast she's learning and everything. And that's coming from like Natty and all the people at the dungeon. Um, Apparently Maxine is like one of the top students that Natty has at the dungeon all the time. So it'll be really fun to see what she does as a heel.
I mean, this is a girl who started with the Maximum Male Models, the comedy aspect, and then she slowly goes into the Alpha Academy, turning babyface, and she became this fun babyface, underdog. And then you slowly, like you mentioned, the promo she had with Becky in the match and Natalia, she's showing that spunk, if you will. I can't believe I'm going to make this comparison, but do you remember back in the day when Victoria, she was doing the psycho you know what character, and she's attacking Christy Hemme, who's this bubbly, energetic, like, could somebody get this girl decaf type of vibe to her? But then once Victoria alienates her, she just goes on a rage, and it's like you've never seen this side of Christy Hemme because she's always so happy and bubbly. This is what we have at Maxine. You could show that edge. I'm tired of being overlooked. Why wasn't I in the Queen of the Ring tournament? You have so many different layers upon layers upon layers to go with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, that's a good comparison. Um, I was thinking somewhere along the lines of even like a Dolph Ziggler. You had Spirit Squad, and then he kind of leaves that, and it's just comedy gimmick, comedy gimmick. I don't know what I'm doing. And arguably one of the best in-ring workers, even still going today. So I could definitely see the parallels with Maxine and him as well.
That is also a great comparison. Now, I got to say, I'm going to say you kind of omitted two there, Mr. Roykoff, and you know why. And it was so quick and short that we're going to make a joke out of this. It was that one week, remember, when Vicky's like, we're going to make him the new Dolph Ziggler. And this man literally had black hair and he looked like Evan Bourne. Literally the same haircut as Evan Bourne. It's like, what is so different about Dolph Ziggler? He has black hair and looks like Evan Bourne. That was it. Or we can even go back to even before the Spirit Squad when he was Chavo Guerrero, Kerwin White's caddy. What a way to get into the door, man.
Yeah, he's done a little bit of everything, man. Like it's crazy the kind of career that he's had.
And it's crazy, like him and technically speaking Kenny, because he works backstage and does the agenting and producing and stuff. Like
Yep.
those two are the only two like left that are really kind of still active.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right.
I mean, the last time I think I saw about Johnny Jeter, he has a wrestling school now, which good for him because that man
Yep.
has learned a lot from that OVW system. My goodness.
Yeah, I mean, any of the guys that are, old school wrestlers that have some sort of school or do seminars and stuff, I say good on them because, they have a lot of wisdom, even if, gosh, James Ellsworth.
Yes.
Even James Ellsworth, him doing seminars and him going to indie shows and stuff like that. Like, you can still get good stories from him and you could still have good knowledge from him because I mean he's what's the old phrase, spin a cup of coffee. They spin a cup of coffee on TV, so he kind of understands the inner workings a little bit. He's got a little bit of clout behind him, so he's worth listening to at least. So yeah.
I agree with that. I mean, even go back to the days of Dwayne Gill, A.K. Gilbert had his own wrestling academy. You can learn a lot from Dwayne Gill. Like, you could learn so much from everyone. And I mean, speaking of learning, we really learned a lot, not only just watching Clash in Italy, but how pissed off, absolutely angry that people were when it came to Brock Lesnar and Oba Femi. But I got to tell you something right now. We were both kind of like, oh, we want Oba, but it's probably going to be Brock. They did not do it in such a way that I'm like, okay, he got squashed and buried. No, it was Brock got the jump out of the gate with the F5s. He put him in the Kimura, weakened Oba's arm, couldn't do the choke slam through the table, got an F5. And then as soon as he goes to the power bomb, the arm gives out F5, 1, 2, 3. This man took 7 F5s and survived a Kimura. But dang it, man, it makes you want to see the rematch. And I think if you're going to do it at SummerSlam in Minneapolis, then Brock rides off into the sunset. What were your thoughts on Oba and Brock?
I mean, yeah, they did not do Oba dirty like I was thinking they were going to. I thought it was just going to be, he goes out there, he maybe gets a little bit of offense, and then he gets one, maybe two suplexes. He gets a F5 or two, and then 1, 2, 3. The what was it? The Goldberg match.
Yes.
That they had. I figured it was going to be like that, and I was not looking forward to it. But after 7, yes, Michael Cole 7 F5s, uh, we finally, had Oba lose, and then you turn around and have him in that fatal 4-way, and the crowd still cheers him. They still are doing the strut. And not only are they still doing that, but he comes out. Carmelo Hayes goes to hit him. This is all during his entrance. Goes to hit him. He blocks Carmelo, gets in the ring, takes out Penta,
Solo.
takes out Solo, and then poses. The lights do their thing, and he has that aura. His music's still going, and it's just like, okay, yeah, no, you see it. He goes on and wins that match, and then even says, yeah, Brock said he was going to whoop me. Brock whooped me. But guess what? The way I recover is I beat 3 other men to move on in the King of the Ring. I say go ahead and crown Oba. Go ahead and let that be, instead of having the Brock versus Oba 3 at SummerSlam, let Oba get the crown and have him face, even if you have to, move him over and have him face Cody. I don't care.
I mean, we got it at Saturday night's main event before the non-finish. So, I mean, I think that would be a fantastic matchup in its own right. Here's my thing with that, too. I love the fact that he is now in the King of the Ring, which we'll get to in a second here. But that match kind of made me feel like, remember when he wrestled Braun in Saudi and Baron Corbin hit him with the title, and then it took like 5 or 6 F5s to beat Braun, but Braun kept getting back up? That's what it reminded me of, like that match. Which is kind of like a fair comparison just because the two are both freaks in their own right for their size and their strength, that being both Braun Strowman and Obafemi. And I got to ask you just on the sidebar here, since it is right after SmackDown every week coming back up, have you watched anything on the menu yet? Everything on the menu, that Braun Strowman show?
So I haven't watched it completely. I've caught some of it. It's fun. I've met Braun before at like an indie show, and my wife is a huge Braun fan, so he's a really sweet guy. And I think what he's doing on that show is he's showing what he can do, which is he's a funny guy, he's a nice guy, and he just loves to go places and eat. So I think the show works for him, and I'd like to see him back in the ring, but if he's happy doing what he's doing with that, then let him do that, man. You know what I mean?
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, I don't know if you know who Dame Drops is. He was a food YouTube reviewer, and it reminds me of that infamous video that he did in his car. So for those who've never seen the video, he's this food reviewer. He went to Five Guys, got this cheeseburger, and he was so happy and so just in love with the meal. Like, you have that high after you take that one first bite, and then he just goes, damn, damn, damn. I wish you could smell what I'm smelling. It's that kind of vibes that we get with Braun Strowman where he's on the menu.
Yeah. And I mean, that's, it does good for the places that he goes to, because then it gets that notoriety and everything like that. I think it's a great show.
I gotta say, not only where's the beef, but he got me feeling hungry right here inside. And let me tell you something about inside. Watching this professional wrestling that we got, especially with the opener with Cody and Gunther, I think from the inside, knew we were going to be it was going to be a great match. I knew there's going to be a continuation, if you will, after what we saw with the finish. What were your overall thoughts? Cody hits the crossroads. Gunther's foot is under the bottom rope, and the ref doesn't see it. I felt I wanted more, but for the story they were telling, I understood it, and I was fine with it. What'd you think, Roy?
Yeah, without going too much into the weeds with that kind of stuff, I feel like the finish of that match wasn't worked out properly, because his foot was under the rope, but also it kind of seemed like the ref only counted 2. I'd have to go back and rewatch it, because you see Gunther kick out, you see Cody kind of lift up his shoulder, and the ref still continued the count. So it was kind of an odd finish. Yeah, I told you last week I was pushing for Gunther to win. Um, I don't want to say that I'm over a Cody title reign, but I'm kind of over a Cody title reign at this point. Um, it's okay to have him as a fixture without having him as the champion, if that makes sense. There are guys that can make a name for themselves without the title and do not need that title. And then there are guys that can be helped by holding that title. And Cody is in that camp of he doesn't need the title to be Cody Rhodes. And I don't think the title needs Cody Rhodes to be relevant. I think we can put it on Gunther. We can have him face other people, put on these great matches, and have Cody kind of have a crisis of confidence. And maybe that's when he starts to realize, hey, maybe I need somebody by my side. Maybe I need to kind of start healing it up a little bit. And maybe he can start the team with like Matt Cardona, and maybe he could bring in Ricky Saints and kind of form this faction that years ago they even talked about. It was him, Cardona, and Sean Spears. And it's basically, I don't remember if you, or I don't know if you remember his Ring of Honor stuff where he always wore the suit. He had the black hair, he had the cigars and stuff like that. But that was kind of a thing that he was workshopping years ago with Cardona and Spears, where they were just basically the four horsemen, but it was just the three of them. And they were all Ric Flair. There was no, there was no, it's Flair and Arn and Tully. It's just, they're all Ric Flair, so I would love to see Cody lose the title and kind of have that crisis of confidence. And if it means Gunther winning the title, hey, that's just icing on the cake, in my opinion.
So everybody, for what Roy is saying right now with the cigar and with that, I know what you're talking about. Like Cody Rhodes, Ring of Honor champion, beating Christopher Daniels, and we all know the infamous T-shirt. You want to make him say na na type of vibes, Master P baby, like when Being the Elite, where they're all singing the Evolution theme song in the limo. I see what you're putting down here, Mr. Roy Costin, but it's one of those things too. And I got on to your point. I think a lot of people are tired of it too because it's very reminiscent of John Cena. Think of like 06, 07 run where he's beaten Triple H, he's beaten Shawn Michaels, he's beaten Umaga, and there were definitely many different instances where he could have lost, like for instance to Bobby Lashley at the Great American Bash because Bobby Lashley was so hot coming off the feud with Do-Rag Vince, what's up Holmes, and all that stuff back in the day. So you had many different instances where you could have took the title off. Now they took it off on Drew just to set up the Jacob Fatu match, but it's like, dang it, man, Drew McIntyre keeps getting the shaft, so to speak. So it's just like, yeah, there's so many different ways you can go with it, but I'm too and kind of like, all right, can we get it off Cody? I understand it, merch driver, but he's kind of becoming the John Cena of 20 years ago.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you, if merch driver means that you're the champion,
yep,
then guess what? Cody's cursed because Danhausen's the one that's driving all the merch right now.
Oh, I agree. I mean, are you enjoying the science experiments as well?
Yeah, I kind of figured they were going to be there was going to be some sort of payoff to it, either at Clash or whatever. But I have a theory to it, and this might be a little thing that we add on to the end or make its own little short. But I have a theory, and we'll talk about that later.
Okay. All right. And the other matchup that will also blend into Raw, we saw Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu tribal combat for the world title at Clash in Italy. I enjoyed the match because of it's like Roman's going to win it on his own. And Jacob Fatu, they did say was dealing with a little bit of a back injury. For what he did, I thought he did a great job. It definitely heightened up the intensity of the match. And Roman winning with the spear after Jacob Fatu kept getting up until he couldn't get up no more. And then he fell in line with the Usos. And then you saw Solo and the MFTs out there. So they're teasing and kind of marinating stuff right there. But then you get to Raw. and you see Jey Uso, who's no longer the Yeet Man. He's acting like the right-hand man again. And I'm having flashbacks to 2022 with this bloodline. And then Jacob falls in line and he acknowledges Roman. And then there we are. So I got to ask you, what were your thoughts on the match and Jacob Fatu finally acknowledging his tribal chief?
So there's guys that need the title to get put over. No, it was a fun match. I knew it was going to be. The tribal combat match always kind of has that, hey, it's going to be a really fun match. It's going to be really good. Especially you throw in, the Samoan werewolf, Jacob Fatu. He's on a whole nother level, man. I hate that they didn't give Jacob the title, but I feel like there's more to the story that they're trying to push. I don't know what's going to end up happening with all of this, but it'll be interesting. I think that we're over the bloodline story. We had it during the pandemic era and it was great. It's what pushed WWE along, but we're at a time now where we don't need the bloodline story to make WWE relevant. And they're just kind of rehashing what's the phrase? They're reheating nachos.
Yes, that is a great analogy. Now I want nachos, but no, it's one of those things too. Going to your point, Roy. Look at it like when they tried to do like the remakes of the horror movies. It's like, all right, we got a Nightmare on Elm Street. Like that remake was terrible. These dreams are real. And all the stuff that they did back in the day with like all of those things. And you had the Halloweens with Daniel Harris and the Rob Zombies Halloween. They're trying to like reintroduce and rebrand and reignite stuff. Like, I mean, as we're recording, the Scary Movie comes out on Friday, which I'm looking forward to that. That's
oh yeah, me too.
And it's comedy fodder and greatness at its own. But the thing is, too, there's certain things you don't need to redo. You have to leave certain things alone. The bloodline, for what it was, highlighted Roman to here, added that comedy fodder with Sami Zayn, but Sami Zayn became beloved by everybody. The twists, the turns, and everything, like with the title, without the title, Cody finishing the story, that's where it should have ended. Like we saw them have the stare down after Clash in Italy. I'm like, to be completely honest with you, I really don't want to see Roman versus Cody part 3. And I'm sorry to say that, but I think with what you ended at part 2, that was the perfect end to the quote unquote, figuratively and literally, the story. And now you're doing this. And I'm going to just point this out here before we even get to this next part I want to bring up. What are your thoughts on that, man? Because Roman and Cody 3, do you want to see it? What were your thoughts on just Jacob doing this? I feel like we're rebranding and rehashing when we don't need to.
Yeah, it feels like a situation of I don't need to see Cody and Roman at Mania again. I want to see new challengers for the titles. I want to see new guys be able to come up and take that top spot. I think we might be getting there with Jacob acknowledging and everything. Somebody online pointed out in the picture of the four of them holding up the ones, there's a big space in between Roman and Jimmy. And that might be for someone else to come in. Who knows? But the thing that's kind of funny is nobody has really acknowledged the fact that within a couple of weeks, there was just a complete 180 and Roman and the Usos were faces. Like they were babyface a few weeks ago, and then all of a sudden they're making Jacob come out there and acknowledge and everything, and it feels very reminiscent of heel bloodline. And it's just, hey, we're randomly heels now. So I don't think LA Knight's gonna be the one to take them down, but at least LA Knight's the one that kind of is making some sense, with that talk with Pierce on Raw. So who knows?
Let me tell you something, right? As long as I get him to hear him say, Falafel again. Falafel again. I am happy with that. I'm sorry. Every time he goes to the falafel and the falafel, I laugh every time he does it because it's funny. And look, I get it. It's symbolic, the ulafala, but the him calling it a falafel and the ufalafa is just absolutely hilarious. Yeah, to what the LA Knight character is. Now, the other thing, like you mentioned, the discussion that he had with Pierce, and we're going to say this for everybody's favorite journalist. And Roy, I'd actually like you to do this with me because I mentioned it on many shows, and I need you to do this impression with me. We're like a tag team. Whoop, there it is up in here, Mr. Roy Costin. Are you ready? Dave Meltzer. Pretty much. Brian.
Brian, episode.
And I know. Here's the thing. Look, for any wrestling fans out there that know about Dave Meltzer and these people that spend $15 on his Observer, y'all are buck wild. And number two, the dude gets half of his sources wrong, and he wants to call himself a journalist. I will be here another day. But the bluntest and the most overall right in your face that we saw in Raw was Roman tell Jey Uso that, hey, we want you to go after the other title, rule SmackDown, Cody versus Jey. And then Dave Meltzer goes, well, there's talk that we're going to get Cody and Jey Uso at SummerSlam. Yeah, because you saw what you saw on Raw. This isn't news. This is just right in your face, Dave. So that's my point of the stupidity here. But I'm going to tell you right now, I really don't want to see Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso at SummerSlam. Roy, your thoughts?
I have eyes. So after that part where, Roman says, hey, you need to focus on winning King of the Ring and bringing that other title to us, I too started reporting on the fact that, hey, there's rumblings that we could get Jey Uso versus Cody Rhodes. There's also rumblings that they may have, Obafemi versus Roman Reigns. Card subject to change. Just remember that, guys. But no, the only thing that I could see coming out of it is if Jay went into a Cody Rhodes match as a full-blown heel. And you have Cody going into the match as, hey, this is my buddy. I'm glad he won King of the Ring. He's back to, being in a title picture. This is the guy that, I got drunk with after the PLE and done the conference with afterwards, and we're giggling and everything. This is going to be great. And then as soon as the bell rings, one super kick from Jay, and all of a sudden it's like, oh no, this isn't the same Jay anymore. This is a bad guy now. So I could see that could be fun, but I don't want them to go back to the well of Cody versus Bloodline. It's over. It's done with. Give us something different.
Agreed, man. I mean, there's so many different things that you can do, subtleties, intricacies, and nuances with different character changes and overall emphasized and amplified. But we all want something different. It's what we're craving for. And I got to tell you, the one thing I do want to talk about is the King of the Ring brackets. And then we have two final things before we get to the big thing from the weekend. But something that I really want to bring to your attention is, I mean, we saw Obafemi beat Solo Sikoa, Carmelo Hayes, and Penta. And the winner of Dominic, Braun Breaker, Trick Williams, and Damian Priest will face Obafemi in the semifinals. Who are we going with here, Roy?
Oh, so I could see. Oh, you know what? I'm going to say Priest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to say Priest. I think Rollins kind of cost Breaker a little bit. Trick, I think, too wrapped up in the U.S. title picture right now. Dom's got his own problems with what we'll talk about later. So I could see Priest, and then it be an Oba versus Priest on that side of the bracket.
That's a nice Raw SmackDown match. And I will say this for Raw, I think you can agree with me. That main event between Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. I think Rollins always is going to be able to bring out the best in anybody, and Braun has just been on an upward trajectory, anyways. So that match was just extremely good. And I'll be interested to see what they're going to do with Heyman, because they might have used that spear through the barricade as kind of a way to write him off. And maybe that might be where we get Maxine to come in.
Okay, and can I just say one thing? For someone who's in his early 60s, Paul Heyman still knows how to sell and take maneuvers. That man went through that barricade, boy. I got to tell you. Oh, Paul Heyman, that's why he's the GOAT. Oh, now we move on over to the other side. So it's Seth Rollins, Javon Evans, Talatonga, Ricky Saints. Now, Roy, bring us up to speed on the rumor for this match, and who are you going to pick to win this match?
So the rumor that I've seen, and I wish I could find the actual picture of it, but instead of Tonga, they have Royce Keys, and instead of Ricky Saints, it's actually Sami Zayn.
Mm-hmm.
So if they go with the lineup they have now, I would love to see Javon Evans advance and win this match. He's so great, and then having him in that second round could be really fun. But as much as I would love for Javon to win it, I could kind of see Seth Rollins winning it.
Same. I'm in the same boat as you. Like the young go hard that Javon Evans is. I'd love to see him in this. You know what? That's still my pick, too. I'm sticking with it just because it's someone different. It's new. It's fresh. Ricky Saints has got his thing going on with Carmelo Hayes. Talatonga has this thing going on, too. And same with Seth and Braun, like we mentioned. But the other side, you have to look at it. It's Jey Uso, LA Knight, yeah. Royce Keys and Finn Balor, who is now on SmackDown. Who are you picking? And what do you think about just randomly that we get announced during the break on Netflix that Finn Balor is on SmackDown now?
Good. Good. I'm tired of seeing Finn and Judgment Day. Let him go to SmackDown. Let him have some matches over there. Let him, feud with some people that are not Judgment Day adjacent.
I mean, he said he wants to face Nakamura and all these guys. Please, like you and I both know, remember when they had that match on NXT? That match was flawless. Give us that again, but 10 years later.
Yeah, I'd absolutely love it, As far as the other guys in the match, I'd love to see Royce Keys go. Been a big fan of his for a while, and he's getting some real good shine. I feel like maybe LA Knight and Jey Uso kind of cancel out.
Mm-hmm.
But with the way that Raw was going and with what Roman said, maybe Jey Uso ends up winning this match somehow.
That's my thing, too. I have a toss-up between Royce Keys, because we mentioned someone new and they're pushing him to the moon, won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and those promos leading up to his debut. Jay, just because of the interaction with Roman, so I'm in the same boat. But the women here is what's got me here. So the women right now thus far, we saw Io Sky beat Julia, Lash Legend, and Roxanne Perez. And the winner of Bailey, Raquel Rodriguez, JC Jane, and Kiana James will face Io in the semifinals. So who are you picking out of those four? If I have to pick just because they've been so high on her, I got to go JC Jane. Who are you going with?
JC Jane's a really good call. I'd love for it to be Bailey just because of the history with Io and knowing that Io and Bailey they could put on a banger in their sleep. Mm-hmm. So I would love for that, but I'm with you on this one. I think JC Jane probably takes it just because of she's got backup and there's no DQ. So maybe they can kind of, force a hand and we end up seeing JC Jane take it.
I think the other thing also, too, is for the NXT vibes, Io and JC Jane. That's pulling out my heartstrings right here. And the other match that we have now, Liv Morgan, who is the champion, is in this because she wants all the gold, and everybody's like, why are you putting the champion in this? But okay. I don't see her winning this. I'm just going to put that out there right there because I think there's more to this. It's Liv Morgan, Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, and Chelsea Green. Man, I don't. You know what? I'll let you go first on this, Roy. I got to think about this one.
So you say you don't see Liv winning it.
Why are you going with Liv Morgan?
I say
Okay.
that earlier I had mentioned Rhea having a surprise opponent.
Okay.
Who's to say SummerSlam isn't Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan for both titles on the line?
Roy, you're just manifesting that and putting that into the universe right now.
I don't want it, but I could see it happening. I could see Liv winning that first match. And I guarantee you, I will go ahead and predict this now.
Okay.
Jessica Carr will be the referee for that match.
See, I like the story progression there. Okay. All right.
Because you see who all's in the match.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica Carr is going to end up being the referee, and Liv Morgan is going to end up pinning Becky Lynch. Bliss, he's either going to get taken out or has been taken out already by by Jade and her girls. So they might have to find a replacement, maybe. Okay. Who knows? Then you got Chelsea Green, which I would love for Chelsea to win the whole thing.
Me too.
But I don't think that'll happen. Yeah, I'm sticking with Liv Morgan, pins Becky Lynch, Jessica Carr's the one making the 3 count.
I like your story, but I think I'm going to have to flip it on this one. So what I'm going to say is Becky Lynch wins somehow by chicanery, because the next one is Sol Ruca, Lyra Valkyria, Charlotte Flair, and Jade Cargill. I think Charlotte and Jade are going to cancel each other out, and I think Sol Ruca is going to win. And then the semifinals is Becky against Sol, and I think we might get Becky and Io in the final. Just because I would like to see Rhea versus Rio. I know I just went a little bit more into the progression there, but who you picking with Sol Ruca, Lyra, Charlotte, and Jade?
Oh, gosh, that is a tough one. I'm going to go with Lyra.
Okay.
And my reasoning behind it is after Becky loses in that first Fatal 4, she's going to cost Sol in the other match. So she'll be the reason why Sol Ruca does not win that match. And then, like you said, Charlotte and Jade cancel each other out. So I'm going with Lyra in that one. So I've got Becky Liv versus Lyra on that side of the bracket.
All right. And those are our picks for the King and Queen of the Ring and where we see it going thus far. And before we get to the match, I do have to ask you, Roy, because you brought up a great point before we got on today's program. NXT and the direction that they're going in now. Now, NXT, and I'll even start with you on this, call-ups have happened. We've all seen the call-ups. But we've added a lot more of the Evolve guys coming in, and they promoted Evolve a lot on Tubi. So I like that they're adding those newer layers to that. We're seeing a lot of great talents like the Keanu Carvers, the Jackson Drakes, and the Vanity Projects, and the EK Prospers, the Tate Wilders, and the Romeo Moreno, who got the speed title match this week. Like, there's so many different people that they're intertwining, and it's great to see the promotion there, and especially Cam Hendricks and Tony Day this week. So I like it. I dig it. Some people are kind of like, oh, well, it's kind of like NXT 2.0 now. Not really. Like you have the TNA people that can come in from time to time. You're highlighting Evolve, and you're pretty much building new people. And that's what you have to do with what you're doing now. You have to build to the next generation, to the future. So I agree with you on the fact that I do think NXT needs a little bit more oomph to it, but I'm not hating it. What are your thoughts?
So the thing that I've seen recently is, if you notice, all the people that got called up were people that started in NXT.
Yes.
You had like Oba, who was coming off of Alabama shock put.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first time he ever stepped into a ring was in the Performance Center. You've got JC Jane and her crew, which JC Jane was doing stuff way before, but mainly everybody else, they started in the performance center. So you had these people who, over the past few years, we've seen grow and seen progress to what they are now. But now in NXT, it feels like they're doing the old school NXT thing of, hey, this guy was really popular on the indies. Hey, you remember this person from the indies? We're bringing them in and we're letting them do their style. And I think they've gotten to the point in NXT where it's like they want to see the homegrown talent again. They're not necessarily wanting these outside people coming in, but in my opinion, I think it's a good idea. Going back to bringing some of these indie people in. Then you got what is he called now?
Naraku, evil.
Yeah. You got him in. You got Mason Rook.
He's big. He's bad.
He's bad.
Oh, body him, you're dead.
And I mean, both of those guys are so great, and to put them right into the main title picture with Tony D, or Seth Rollins Jr., if you will, like, it works out so well. And I swear I would have thought that Tony D would have been brought up alongside with, Trick and Oba and all them, because he was in that class. But yeah, he's still there holding it down. So
absolutely. And Seth Rollins Jr., I like that. That's a nice comparison. But I mean, one of the things that we get to see, new look for Tony D, new attitude. I mean, they're doing the stuff now with Dark State where they kick Shaquan Sugars out. So they're developing there. There's a lot of developing parts and moving parts there. I mean, we got a Mr. NXT pageant next week with Tristan Angels and Shiloh Hill, which Tristan Angels, he has, I'm going to say it right now, I'll go back to the 80s here. He has the haircut like one of the vampires in the Lost Boys, and he has a white shirt that makes him look like the lost member of the Brood. It's one of those things where you have that gentleman and then Shiloh Hill, who is just, and just absolutely buck wild. You're a you're a Shiloh
Big Shiloh Hill guy. I love Shiloh Hill. Him and Tatum Paxley together is so good.
Yeah.
They even caught the eye because somebody compared them to Crowbar and Daphne. And Crowbar saw it and did an entire video watching their stuff and saying, I absolutely love this. They do remind me of me and Daphne. And I guarantee you, Daphne would love watching these two.
First of all, shout out to Devin Storm, a.k.a. Crowbar. And number two, I can definitely see that comparison. And God rest her soul, Daphne, we miss you. But yeah, I like that comparison, man. Like those two flow and gel so well. The freaks, if you will, you know what I'm saying? Just doing their thing. Oh, I love it too. I completely agree with you. I love me some Tatum Paxley and Shiloh. The teeth though is a little gross. You got it. The teeth is like, I'm sorry. I know he's getting his teeth fixed and whatnot, but that is kind of gross, man.
Hey, if I could pull my teeth out after the week I've had, then I would do it. I would do it.
Oh, well, don't be ripping at your teeth right now because we're going to taste some sweetness and goodness, because we also saw this past weekend at Noche de los Grandes. Probably, I'm going to say this right now, I know we are in the middle of the year, but if this is not match of the year, I don't know what is, or show and just in general, because if you guys have not watched the show, go back to the WWE YouTube channel and watch it. But the match that everybody's talking about is El Grande Americano and the original El Grande Americano. No disqualification, Mascara versus Mascara. Oh, my God. The guitar shots, the risks and the chances that they took. Pipiñela getting the revenge on the original El Grande Americano. Rayo and Bravo, and Julio and Bruto Credo coming out. Bravo and doing the thing off the stuff, the structure, right on everybody. Like, I love that, man. Like, everything that they did had a purpose. It had the story. And Andrea coming out at the end. I'm going to throw it back to you, Roy, and tell me if you remember this. Remember during Lucha Underground when Melissa Santos, and it was Rey Fenix versus Mil Muertes. And she had Katrina with her in the casket, and he's beating him up, and Melissa's fallen in love with Ray Phoenix, and he beats Mil Muertes. It reminded me of that. Did you get a Melissa Santos vibe with Andrea? Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was so good, man. That whole so the event altogether felt like, hey, we have this huge match that is being built up as our main event. So we are going to make sure you tune in. When you tune in, you're going to see a fantastic show. And it felt like AAA saying, this is the show that starts the new AAA. Because spoiler for whoever hasn't watched it yet, like you said, it's on the WWE YouTube. You can go back and watch, but every match that had a title changed.
Mm-hmm.
The title changed hands. We've got new champions for everything that was defended on that show. So it felt like AAA saying, hey, this is a good refresh for us because we've got this huge match coming up. We're going to show people what we got. And by the end of the night, people are going to be talking about the entire card, not just this match. And I think that's what they did. Look, you're not going to have me watch the War Raiders and not have a smile on my face.
They're fantastic.
You're not gonna see me look at Ray Phoenix with a title and be like, nah. No, dude, I love it. I love everything about that card from Saturday. And that main event was, oh, dude.
I think the best way to summarize it, and I like how you put it there, you have Ray Phoenix, who was at the funeral of the gingerbread man and just coasting by on SmackDown. I'm going to say this right now. Undertaker, please keep him in AAA. Cruiserweight champion now, defeating Laredo Kid. Vikingo with Omos as his bodyguard, doing the thing. And him and El Dr. Wagner Jr. was great. Like you mentioned, the War Raiders being Psycho Clown and Pagano. And then this. I'll say this right now, and I will say this forever and ever, to quote Outcast. Roy, I think you can agree with me right now at this time in this juncture. Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker are the best bookers right now in WWE.
Yeah, and I'm not going to take anything away from Gabe Sapolsky.
Yes.
Apparently, Gabe is helping a lot. I think it was Gabe. No. Jeremy Borash.
JB, yeah.
JB is helping a lot with AAA also. So it's him and Taker working in tandem. And I'm not taking anything away from him because he is basically Taker's right-hand man when it comes to AAA. So, yeah, Triple H has got to step his game up. Like, that's all I could say, because everybody else in his company is doing phenomenal work when it comes to booking their shows.
And I mean, with everything that we did see with the Mascara match, like we mentioned, the dives, the interference, the blood, Chad Gable, who of course was revealed as the original El Grande Americano, the speech he gave, the standing ovation he got, I definitely want to see him back in AAA at some point. Yeah. Ludwig Kaiser and Chad Gable have gotten these gimmicks off that was supposed to be a joke, that was supposed to be comedic fodder, over so much that Ludwig gets cheered in Mexico, El Grande gets booed. We saw, like we mentioned, the Pimpinella interference. This match, for the 30-plus minutes that it was, had you emotionally and physically invested that we got it again on Netflix. That's how good it was that we got it again on the replay on Netflix.
Yeah, and I think somebody summed it up really well with the dynamic between Gable's El Grande and Kaiser's El Grande is you've got Gable coming in and trying to take culture. And Kaiser came in and wanted to be a part of the culture. And it really showed in the way that they played their characters. Like you said, it did start out as, a haha, look at the gringo who thinks he's a luchador. But it really did turn into this guy who wants to take the culture for himself is fighting someone who has basically been adopted by Mexico and saying, yeah, he may not be Mexican, but he is Mexican. He is a luchador for us. And it was a beautiful thing, man. Like, wrestling has a funny way of doing that. It's beautiful chaos.
I like that. Beautiful chaos indeed. And I got to tell you again, if you've not watched this match from top to bottom, from the speech, from everything in between, it was a fantastic AAA. And this Saturday, which we'll cover even more next week on the show, we have Bailey, La Catalina, and Lola Vice versus Las Toxicas, Flamer, La Hedra, and Maravilla. And we have Cruz del Toro, Joaquin Wild, Lince Dorado, Mini Vikingo, and Octagon Jr. and a fatal five-way match. So more great action coming to you from the AAA side next week, and more great wrestling analysis from us here at the Takedown Pod coming next week. And Roy, before we close this out, where can we follow us on the social medias? The floor is yours.
Pretty much everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Just look up Takedown Pod and you'll find us. Just look for that red, blue, and yellow. But other than that, I'm starting to kind of work on my own YouTube that I'll present later down the road. But other than that, yeah, follow us anywhere at either Takedown Pod or the Takedown Pod.
Links will be in the description for our link tree and everything in between. We on that tree, we on that vine, and look at us, we're looking so fine. Aha! But with that being said, if you want to check out yours truly here, go to SM Show 1 or MCL92. Go to Larkin_92 M Larkin MB. SM Network shows for the said Takedown podcast. Go to WFJAFM.com for the podcast. Look at us in the audio form. You can check out so many great shows here on the channel and so much more on the WFJA website and so much more from Roy and I doing as only as we can do and what we love and how we love to do it. Oh my goodness, I'm excited for our next episode next week. So with that being said, for RC and his cola, my name is Mike Larkin. Thank you all so much for listening to another Takedown Pod. Roy, have you gotten through that RC cola? I got to see. Can we rep the RC cola one more time for this? There it is. Yep. I like you just chugging that RC cola.
There it goes.
Damn. Bring it up, take it down. And did you also notice before we close this out, Dave Meltzer's initials are DM, and there's nobody slided in them. We'll see you next week.